I'm good, mate. I'm good. What's the stories?
Is it recording your end?
Yep.
Fantastic. Oi, bruv, thanks for taking time out because I know what it's like. How many kids you got now? Two, three?
Two. Boy and a girl. Job done.
How old?
4 and 2.
4 and 2.
Yeah, mate. That's. It's a good age. It's a fun age. I think.
It is fun actually.
Yours are a bit older than
7
mine.
and 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know exactly what you're going through, mate. You're not training, but you're training, right?
You're never resting.
No rest for the righteous is what I say, mate. It's
I like that. That's better than the wicked.
yeah, no, that's it. That's it. The days of a good night's sleep are gone, long gone for you.
Yeah.
How have you been coping, man? COVID-19. Let's deal with the elephant inside or outside the room.
How have I been coping? Do you know what? It sounds really bad, but I'm having a great time. There's so much going wrong in the world right now. But outside my house, there's so much going on that's not great. But inside my house, my kids are brilliant. My wife's doing amazing. The sun is out, and I'm enjoying it. I really am. Like it's. I'm a bit soppy in my old age, and like when I'm away from my kids, I really struggle. And away from Kate and stuff now. Like in the past, I'd be like 2 months, 3 months, wouldn't care. I'd go away. And be somewhere nice and warm. But now, 3-4 weeks, it's a long time. So now I'm loving it. I'm loving having the time at home. I'm loving doing my training in and around them. It's kind of it's a nice change, and the focus is moved to next year now. So I kind of hope I might get an off year, which is something I've never had since 2005. I've done every championships I can. So it's. Yeah, it could be a kind of a saving grace for a lot of us older athletes.
I mean, I guess contractually you're sorted, right? So,
I've no idea. So I don't have sponsors, so that's fine.
Right.
I've got UK Sport, National Lottery, brilliant, and we'll find out what the deal is with them. Like if we have to do Europeans later on in the summer, that will probably change my whole persona and everything. Like I'll be a far more aggressive person, I suppose. I'll be more focused and all that again. Whereas I just don't see it happening. I don't see a championships happening. I can't. This is a long-term crisis. It's not a short-term thing. It's not like we'll be okay in end of June and be out to go and trade and stuff like that. I think it's going to be longer than that. So
yeah, I agree. I think the world's changed forever. If I'm honest.
Yeah.
I don't know how it goes back to what we considered normal before. I mean, even before they get a vaccine and any type of lockdowns lifted. I mean, how does one return to normality? I mean, talk about that period approaching the announcement of the Olympics. That's probably the most uncertain period for athletes that I've known. You know, just surrounding a major championship. Just talk about how it affected and impacted on you.
I suppose you had to have a pragmatic approach to it. Like you could see the writing was on the wall for a lot of other sports when they were cancelling their championships. If Premier League stops, if UEFA are moving the European Championships to next year and stuff, the Olympics was inevitable. It was coming up. I think the problem with them was I don't know how much about the contract stuff that goes on, but whoever cancelled or postponed the championships was likely to get like lots of fines and legislation problems and stuff. So it was kind of like between the organising committee and the IOC, neither wanted to say, we're going to postpone. So that was a bit annoying, but they made the right decision, and they've made the safe decision for everybody and the best decision for Japan. I think the Japanese people were excited about putting the games on. We were in Yokohama last year, and it was a massive deal for them. So I just wanted them to have the best possible games they can, and if that means they have to move it back a year, then so be it.
Talk about Olympic experiences, Martyn. You know, like you're a wily old competitor. You've been around the block a few times. I was talking to Mark Lewis Francis yesterday, and he was highlighting some of just his favourite moments at Olympic Games. What would they be for you?
My favourite moments. I suppose going to Beijing as a kid, 21 years old. I'd always dreamed of going to the Olympics, just to go to my first. As far as I was concerned, if that was the end of my career, it was the end of my career. I'd made the Olympics. To be represented in United Kingdom in an Olympic Games is something that couldn't have been taken away from me. So I was like, brilliant. And then I was in great form, so everything was easy. I could run 45 flat without blinking. You know what I mean? It was easy. And then London was scary. I don't think really people are honest enough about that. That was shit scary, you know, like going out into a stadium where 80,000 people scream your name, or just the noise from that. There was no prep. Like, we didn't speak to the right people. I think the footballers would have been. I wish I'd have been able to speak to Wayne Rooney. Like, how the hell do you handle the whole crowd going Rooney, Rooney, Rooney? And as soon as it happened, mate, I shit myself completely. Yeah. I still get goosebumps from it whenever I think about it. It's like the noise when I was behind my blocks and they started doing it, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like, that's the end of my race. My race was done. Like, which is such a it's a shame, because I felt like I should have made that final. It was an easy final to make compared to other Olympic years, and I lost it in the first. Literally, my head was gone. After that, I was always chasing, and and then Rio was a washout. It was a bit of. You went to Rio, right?
I didn't do Rio, no. But I'm listening. You done, so that's 3 different continents. So you done all right, haven't you, out of the Olympic experience?
I travelled, yeah. Beijing was like the best propaganda games. It was going to be most money spent on it, and slave labour and everything to make it. So they spent like 20 billion with slave labour. Can you imagine? Look, the level of facilities was incredible. The stadium itself is on earth. And then London.
You gone? Can't hear you. You paused. Is that one once or twice? You should come back in a minute. Let's wait until you get back in. When you wave your hand, I'll know.
They didn't harder than anywhere else in the world, and they didn't want us there. So it was a complete negativity about it. I walked into the stadium for my heats, and there was probably 1,000 Brits in the crowd, and that's it. You know, I go to Olympic Games, and it was like, even the heats in Beijing were noisy, and then you go to Rio, and it was crappy stadium. It was a good stadium, but it was like not an Olympic stadium.
What was the difference between the atmospheres, though? Because they kind of had their own way of doing it in Rio, didn't they?
Well, there was no real atmosphere. That was a problem. Like, they had fake noise. So I walked out into the crowd in the stadium thinking it was quite busy, but then I realised it was over speakers, the noise of the crowd. So
I didn't even know that. Is that right?
It was so embarrassing. Like, we were freezing as well because it was cold. People didn't really like, if you had your final during the day, you were winning. If you had your final at night, it was cold. So Wade van Niekerk running as quick as he did. Actually, it wasn't a bad night when he ran. It was quite a bit warmer, maybe like mid-20s. But I was freezing. We had to take our kit off really early, 10 minutes beforehand, our heat, and then I messed it up. I completely ruined my race. But like, the whole experience for me was just a bit like, a bit rubbish.
That's weird, isn't it? That's quite bizarre. I mean, obviously, I wasn't there. I just watched it, and I took it in that way. But it seemed like a strange Olympic Games in Rio, to be fair. I mean, I don't know.
You were in Amsterdam, right?
Yes, 20. Yes, that's it. We did the Europeans in Amsterdam.
That Championships was a hell of a lot better than, like, not even around well, but like the whole organisation was better, the whole crowd, like the atmosphere in the stadium was better, and that was a small championship. So, like, it's a European Championships on an Olympic Games year, so it's never going to be the big thing. But compared to the Olympics, it was 10 times better. So
I guess that's
I'm not in a rush to go back. I'm not in a rush to go back to Brazil anyway.
How do you feel about your season last year, mate?
Oh, it was crap. I think there was a couple of. I self-coached last year.
Right. Was that the first year you've done that?
The first and only year. I won't do it. Right. I've not done it this year. There was lots of things that I felt like I did okay with, but I just kept putting myself in a hole. Like, I kept overtraining. I was never giving myself my body a chance to recover. So I was okay by the time I went to the World Relays, did okay, nothing. I was like 44 high or 45 flat or something in the relay then. And then I never recovered. But my body was done. And I came to the season, I was just like, how am I going to get ready for a world champs? And I knew I had to make some changes. I went back to Nick Dakin as a coach. Neil Black, asked for him to support me in any way he could. And I had a team of guys come together. Like, I'd always had a team of people around me, but it was like, right, I really need people to take over because I've fucked this up. And we I got into some shape. I think I ran okay at the trials in the heats. And then once I made the final, I knew I was done. My body was finished. And I knew I was already selected for the relay. So I should have, in a way, like, I shouldn't have ran it. I should have let someone if I could have pulled out. Well, if I could have pulled out early enough to like let some young kid come in, I'd have been like, okay, cool. But they never let you do that. They're like, they always want. They can't. If they'd rather have 7 in the race rather than 8, even if you know you want to pull out. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's like that'd have been a great opportunity for a young kid, but no, I wasn't allowed to pull out. So, yeah, it was a rubbish season. But
so was you determined to kind of make this year make up for last year? That's kind of what I'm asking. Because I never want to tell you you've had a rubbish season, Martyn, but I know your own standards are quite high. So,
but athletics is a beautiful sport in the sense that there's a stat next to your name, and there's a ranking. And if you're as far down the ranking as I was last year, not only in the UK, but like not in the world, but in the UK, like there's no hiding from that. That's what I think is. That's what I kind of like about the sport. It's black and white in that sense, and it makes it easy for you to. You have to be real. You can't bullshit yourself. Like, to be honest, since Rio, it's not been a good couple of years. I think I've run poor. I thought Europeans wasn't too bad, but not where I should have been running. Maybe 45 flat that year, and then even 2017, I had no interest in running that year. It was a bit of a weird one, but when you got home games, you kind of. I had a really bad come down after Rio,
right?
And then I had no real interest in training in 2017, and I still trained. And still, like, Graham Headman was my coach at the time, and he slogged hard to get me into some kind of shape. He really pushed me, and he got me. He put himself in a bit of a hole himself trying to get me there, and we did all right. We got a world medal out of it and stuff. So that was a hard year. But
why couldn't you motivate yourself for our home games? I mean, when you say you had a come down after 2016? Yeah. What are you talking about here? Mentally, physically?
Well, 2016, I was kind of all right. I was in good shape. I knew I was in good shape, but I couldn't get my races right. And I went to won Europeans, and I was like, okay, cool. I've something clicked. I went to the holding camp in Belo Horizonte, and I was doing stuff in that camp that was like, right, I'm a 43-second runner. I can run 43 seconds. And sorry, what's happened here? Sorry,
you're back.
I was like, I'm going to run 43 seconds. I was running like repeat hundreds with multiple coaches timing me, and they were sub 10.5. I was like, I'm not a sub 10.5 guy. People look at me and think I'm a jogger. I knew I had pace, but I didn't know. There was multiple people watching those sessions going, he's shifting. And then I went to Olympics, and I messed it up by being too cocky, too arrogant. I was like, I'm not thinking about the heats. I was thinking about the final. So I fucked it up. And then I managed to refocus, and I got everything right for the relay, and then we got screwed over there. So it was kind of like, it was hard. It was really, it was kind of like, that was our chance to win an Olympic medal outright, get it on the podium at the games. I felt we would come second at least. We were in 257 low shape as a squad, and it was hard. So that was kind of a bitter pill to take. And
so motivating yourself for the off season weren't the easiest thing then?
No, I took 7 or 8 weeks, and I had no interest in going back. I knew I wanted to go back to training. I love athletics, but at that stage, I still wasn't ready. It was a weird one. So Graham's first and foremost was my mate. He'd been like assisting coach, and Rainer Ryder was my coach, and because Rainer was based in Holland, Graham was helping out, and then he took over, and he worked really hard to get me back out there. And It was brilliant it was brilliant to go to the championships when we were there. It was nice I didn't run well individually, but I knew that I could do a job in a relay. And even though I didn't run well as I'd like, we still came away with a bronze medal. So that was quite cool.
Yeah, it's a good look. So what keeps you motivated now then at this stage?
I think when you have a couple of bad years, it's quite easy to get like, right, I don't want to do that again. And especially last year, I was like, I can't have that. I can't. I got shat on in the I've always been not lucky. The relay's always kind of given me like, okay, cool. At least I know I could do a job in a relay. Yeah. And then last year, I couldn't even do a job in the relay. I was running like 44.9 or something. I was like, I ran quicker when I was 17, 18 years old, you know? Like, I think in 2005 at the World Champs in Helsinki, I ran 44.8, 44.9.
And you had an excuse. It was raining that day, wasn't it?
It was cold, and I was meant to be in Malia. I was meant to be on the lads
holiday. That was a
horrible
World Champs. That was, I remember.
It was an amazing experience, and I loved it. I loved being there as a kid. I was there with Craig Pickering, Alan Scott. Who else was there? It was a really young kind of group of teams, and then there was people like Donna Fraser, who was the same club as me, and you had Malachi Davis in our apartment, who was he was one of the coolest guys I'd ever met, and it was just
he was a real character, that Malachi.
Oh, he was cool, man. Like I didn't really know him before that trip, and then like he just like all these people would come to our apartment and stuff, and they'd be like top American athletes, and Maurice Green would be there, and he did introduce me to Maurice Green. And I was like, oh shit, I've got your spikes, and it was just like it was a great experience as a just turned 18 that year, so it was kind of like a couple of months beforehand. So so this last year when I was running, I could barely run a 44 split for a relay. I was like, oh shit. So that's my motivation. I can't do that again. I want to be back in the 43s. I want to be able to scare other international athletes and be like, okay, cool. But then they're standing on the line next to me. They know that I can batter them. So it's I need that.
How long you got, mate?
Oh, this is it. Tokyo.
Is that the spot? You're not tempted by the next Commonwealth Games? Not
really, no. Like,
no?
I kind of hope there's some more kids coming through by then. Like, it's the Commonwealth is it's always been a development championship for me.
Right.
I know, like, obviously it's a huge thing to run for England instead of Great Britain, Northern Ireland. It's I think it's a bigger thing maybe for the Scottish and the Welsh athletes than it is the English. But like I went to Melbourne when I was 18 years old. I went to the Gold Coast, and I've been to Glasgow. Glasgow was an amazing games. I loved Glasgow. The crowd was amazing. The experience was brilliant, and I feel that's enough. Like I feel like hopefully some young kids will come around, like Ethan Brown, kids like that. Cameron Chalmers. You've got a couple of guys. Hopefully some 200-meter boys switch over to the 400 by then. So I hope that they take that opportunity. And yeah, Birmingham, I've never run well in Birmingham, so it doesn't
so you
excite me.
You don't want to miss, yeah?
Yeah, like I don't. It doesn't excite me. I think Portland, being in 2022 now, that's the Oregon. That's a bit different now. I'm a bit like, because I'm already holding. I feel like this year would have been a better year than the last couple of years. I'm like, well, if I could hold on to that again, then I would be able to go to that. But it's I don't know. I've done it long enough. At least I've taken enough of these teams off of people already. Let someone else have a go.
You know, like your whole approach then to this final bit of your career. Do you allow yourself to look past it, or are you just steadfast, focused on the goal and Japan, and then whatever happens next? Is there an exit strategy?
See, I'm terrible for this. I've had all the opportunities. Like, we get a lot of support. I'm a funded athlete. I've been funded for a very, very long time. And there's all these education things you can do and whatever. And every time I start the process of doing like a course or whatever, I'm always like, well, I might as well retire now. And I can't do both. I've struggled. The whole mindset of thinking past athletics doesn't work for me. I need to be just focused on the here and now as much as I can. Like, my focus is running hard and training hard and looking after my family now. That's enough. I'm spread enough, you know. So There probably should be an exit strategy, but I haven't really got it yet.
No, it's interesting you admit to not being able to do both. I guess that's...
No, I'm not that bright.
No point.
Like, I remember people talking about studying, like people like Dina, people like Paula Radcliffe, people like... there's so many athletes out there who can do both. And like Dina's incredible. She did, was it history? And she came out of it with an amazing degree and stuff. And it's like there's just humans out there who are that bright and that they have that ability to like juggle two things, and I just don't have it. I don't have that. My focus is I'd love to be eat, sleep, train, repeat. That'd be it. That'd be my dream. But
so what about the future then? What about the future of the sport then? Because new CEO for British Athletics, and she's getting her feet wet at the moment. You know, in an ideal world, if you could influence any change, and maybe she was watching this because she's an ardent watcher of all my content.
She should be.
But I mean, you know, what would you say? What would you say? What pearls of wisdom would you offer? What advice would you give?
I agree with her that we shouldn't be an events company. There seems to be so much of a focus the last couple of years on anniversary games or the championships they're putting on. British Athletics have lost their as a performance company. So I'm hoping that she becomes more performance related, more performance focused. But also I want to see more club athletics. Like, I think that's died. Like, and it's the grassroots of our sport, and like I don't know. Like, I'm an athlete who came up from Croydon Harriers, and I didn't race for Croydon until I think 2018, from like 2005. Because
why was that?
It's just the level of competition wasn't there. I could go to, there was no one ever to race against. Croydon were quite far down the divisions, but I think that was my mistake, and I feel guilty about that. And I'd quite like to see more athletes at least do 1 or 2 comps a year for their club. Like, I think you look at the people who signed up to clubs, and then you see how many performances they put in for them. It's not enough. It's not good enough. So.
It's interesting you say that, because a lot of the time I speak to athletes on and off the record.
Yeah,
there seems to be an emphasis on the onus being on British Athletics, like top down. What you're saying is there's an athlete-centered onus as well to get involved at club level.
I think it has to be the athlete-led. I think the athlete at the end of the day has complete control of their career. We have agents, and they'll push us to go to certain races where there's a better level of competition. Now, obviously, you need points, and now you need to. There's not much money in the sport. I think people forget that now. Like, they just assume everyone's like Mo, or I don't know, like Dina or something like that, making lots of money. But on the circuit, there isn't that huge amount of money. So they are pushing. Yeah, the agents are always going to push you to go to the meets where there is cash and there's some support. So, and to be honest, the level of meets are always better anyway. But if there was a thing where British athletes came together and said, well, look, if we all do, so like 2 or 3 girls go to a meet in Enfield and they all run the 400, then that becomes a solid enough race. Like, they don't need to go abroad to do that. If they go to, I don't know, if you put 4 guys, it happens more in the field events, I think, than the track. But like, you see the guys in the shot put, they're always competing against each other. Yeah. We don't do it in the men's 4, and I think Rabba is the only one who really ever runs British League. He's famous for it. And Newham have been brilliant to him, so he's always been brilliant to them. Like, he's always said like how much they've supported him in his career. So I think it has to be athlete led. Like, he's got an agent who pushes him to race everywhere else, but he still does. Even in 2015, when he made the world final, just before we went, he ran Newham. He literally was like just I think 2 or 3 days before we flew, he was racing for Newham. So it's like, it has to be athlete led. And Dina did it. Dina 4x4 or something.
Yeah, she did.
I keep talking about Dina, but she's doing brilliant things. Like, she's a world champion, and she's still kind of doing the right things for her club, Blackheath and Bromley. So yeah, I rate it.
So on that whole push forward, and because what you're outlining, right, Martyn, is a disconnect between grassroots and elite track and field, and a big old area in the middle seems to be guided by no one,
Yeah.
or it's just happening. There's no real clear direction for it, or it's not being steered. Is that what maybe the new CEO has got to deal with more so than anything else, in order to kind of get this kind of congruent motion running through the sport?
I think what I'd like her to do is just have communication with the club. So I went back to my first coach. It was his 80th birthday a couple of years ago. I remember going back and talking to the club chairman and stuff at Croydon Areas, and I was like, has anybody ever spoke to you from British Athletics? And they're like, no. They don't know anybody. There's no relationship between like Croydon as a club, as a feeder club for young kids. The talent in Croydon is ridiculous. It's not like the senior part of the club doesn't have the same, that they all move off and do their own thing. But like when you go to like it's not McDonald's League, but the Young Athletes League and stuff, Croydon's always solid. It's like one of the best teams. And London's always pretty dominant. Birchfield are obviously the biggest team because they have the whole of Birmingham basically. But yeah, Croydon is always it's a big club in that sense. And with other Club Connect things at the anniversary games, they're always winning the relays. So it's kind of like, why have you not got any communication between anybody at British Athletics? It doesn't have to be the CEO, but you know, like there should be something. I think there should be more there. I think there's just it shouldn't be us against them. It should be we're all in it together, and they can preach it, but if you don't actually follow through and talk to the clubs, then it's not going to happen, is it?
What else would you like to see adopted? Maybe not for the new CEO. She's going to have a lot on her plate, but what else would you like to see maybe added to the circuit, taken away, refined, evolved?
See, I'm really good mates with Christian Taylor, but I'm really not that like, you know, a lot of events got cut. I think some events do need to get cut from meets because the meets are too long.
Oh, controversy.
Yeah, like to be honest, I love my favourite events are the shot put, the triple jump. I like the pole vault, and then men's 1500, and the women's 1500 is amazing. But the 1500 in general, those are the events I love to watch. But that's not for everybody. You know what I mean? Like some people love watching 100 meters. Like 200s, they're cool, but I'm not that fussed. 5K, I've got very little interest in watching a 5K, steeplechase, all that kind of stuff. So I think the IAAF had to make hard decisions, or World Athletics, whatever it's called now. I think there should be more freedom for meets to pick what events they want to put on, and if they can keep the program as short as possible. Like the world has changed. People don't watch football as much, unless you're like there at the match. A lot of people won't sit and watch a whole game, and the only sports that really are coming through are esports and the NFL. The NFL is a sport that's adapted very quickly to the fact that the attention span of everybody is gone. We like everything in short little bursts, and athletics needs to realise that sitting through a meet that has 20-minute breaks and half-hour breaks with nothing going on is not going to work.
I'll be honest with you, Martyn, I'm not having it, mate, because NFL is the longest sport in the world. You're just a big NFL. You're a big NFL junkie. You love an NFL. You always love NFL. But it takes ages, brother, and it moves slow, bro.
I agree, but the numbers are backing them up somehow. Like
I think it's because they're a controlled franchise that don't let no one in.
True. They're true.
They've mastered it. They've controlled it all for themselves, and they manipulate it. It can't work like that. Do you know the reason why as well? I think it's a difficult one for World Athletics, because if you allow meets to do what you're saying, they're all going to choose the sexy events, right? And I'm not saying which ones they are, but we all know which ones they are. And what that does is it rules out a region who actually they don't compete well in the sexy events. They compete well in the longer events, which aren't so sexy or desirable to watch, or can't be sped up because they just get completed in 25 minutes. It doesn't matter. So, do you know what I'm saying? So it's a difficult one. I get it. The sport does need to evolve and be more appealing, and the way to do that is to kind of be more attractive to those with shorter attention spans. How you do it, I'm not quite sure, and I get all of those challenges, but I'm cautious about cutting the 5s and the 10s, the 10Ks, because there's a whole area of this earth where actually that's all they
Oh,
watch.
yeah.
Actually,
Yeah,
that's
it's
where
true.
the competitors come from. So what essentially would we be doing if we did that as well? So it needs to be thought about and done so in a manner that's all inclusive and not exclusive. Because I think that the Diamond League can be a little bit exclusive, even though they've, we went
It's
from
impossible
gold
to get
into
in.
diamond, and we increased the amount of events. It's
Yeah.
still only 8 lanes, isn't it?
That's
still
it.
a very,
Like it's impossible to get in the race half the time. So I'm gonna have to plug in.
yeah, do you get what I'm saying?
I've got like no battery here.
Oh, you got
So
no back?
you have to have the right agent. If you don't have the right agent, you're not in. Simple as that. So like when it was back in the day, it was the Golden League. I remember I was like #1 in Europe, and I couldn't get a lane in Paris.
See, that's crazy, right?
I was like, and it was purely because I didn't have the right agent, and it was like,
No, and that's what happens. Madness.
So yeah, that's annoying. What's going on here? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's a bit quiet without the headphones on.
Yeah, no, that, yeah.
Hard to hear
Turn the
and
volume up, Martyn. Just press
It's
volume.
up, yeah, it's up way up. Come on, I'm not.
You saw that running in the open air, mate. Shut your ear in. No, but you're right. It's not. It needs to change and definitely needs to be revamped. Don't know how they do it though. I know there was a point when those street events were a lot more sexy than they seem to be at the moment. What do you think's happened with that? And what were your thoughts on those? You competed in a few.
I love them. I think they're the best thing in athletics at the moment. I think just being creative. I think I had an idea. Why don't you can put it. You don't need a runway. You need a runway for the pole vault, and then
long jump
and long jump. Do everything else on the road. Just everyone wear trainers, because then Joe Public gets it. Joe people running trainers where we run in spikes on the track is a different game. Whereas if you can get I don't know, you get let's go back MLF. MLF was like one of the biggest sprinters in the UK, for most famous sprinters, most famous sports people for a while in the UK, and people didn't really realise how fast he was. You put him in trainers on the road and see him move, then you can get a bit more of a real understanding of it.
Yeah,
and you don't have to
true.
It's not cheap. That's why I think it's hard for them for places to put the meets on.
Right.
And I think it's just getting people out there to really understand it. I think pole vault, you put it next to some double-decker buses, it's open up the top, and you can pay to go up on the top deck and see people jumping over 5 meters or going close to 5 meters. That's massive. When you see Mondo going over 6 meters, that'll be way above the bus. And then people really get an understanding of it. Around the country, I've always thought there's so many cities out there, so many places there that it would work. I'd love to see it at Croydon High Street, but I don't think it. I don't know what happened there.
You love Croydon, didn't you, son? You love your man.
I miss Croydon in a way, but then I couldn't live there. That's the thing. I like my small town now. Loughborough's just the right size for me. It's a bit too noisy down London.
Fair enough.
So,
what do your days look like moving forward, mate?
What do my days look like right now?
How do you structure them? Have you got a routine, or you?
Sorry.
Have you got a routine, or do you just get up and do whatever?
There is a routine, yeah. So it kind of revolves around my wife Kate and my son Jack, his lessons. So they get up at about, hopefully after 7. Sometimes now the sun's up earlier. It's up very early. It's 6:30, sometimes 6 o'clock. And it's just trying to fit it around their lessons in the morning, try to get them started quite early on, after breakfast as well. And from then on, it's just working around their day. I fit in my training. It's kind of, my wife's still doing 2 part-time jobs at the moment.
Okay.
So she's busy. So I'm second fiddle at the moment. My training kind of takes a back seat and it fits around her. I'm not going to the track. I'm not fitting with a group. So
yeah,
I have that flexibility, and we just take advantage of it, I suppose, at the moment. But it's just rolling with it. It's keeping the kids entertained, keeping fit and healthy. Try to stay away from the fridge at the moment as much as possible. It's hard.
It's hard. I saw somebody tweet that today, how they looked in the fridge 4 times in the space of about 20 minutes for no reason.
Yeah, that's it.
Just
You know,
they looked in.
we don't know what it is to be hungry.
True.
It's a real problem, isn't it? Like, I came from working class family, and I'd consider myself working class still. I do athletics, not football. But yeah, like, you've always got food available. We're very lucky, and I think that's it. Our body's just not used to not doing something. Not like it. I don't know. We might not be hungry, but in our mind, we're like, well, let's go check the fridge. Your body, something is telling you to go eat, and I worry that we're going to turn into Americans.
Take time, bro. Stay away from the Jaffas.
Stay away from all that.
All right.
Salty,
on that note,
food. How about you? How's your life?
bro, I'm good. You know, I can't complain. If I'm honest with you, like I'm like you. I've adjusted. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like that. I like to move forward. I'm addicted to forward momentum. I did stagnation, pause. None of those things really play a factor in my life. I'm on it, mate. I'm trying to. Now I'm just preoccupied with capturing people in this time in their houses. We'd have been in a mix zone by now, hence why this is Dreddy's virtual mix zone. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, we'd have been in a real one by now, and we'd have had a conversation about how was training, how was winter, what the summer, the Olympics, the Europeans, are you doing both? We'd have been all in that space. New CEO, what she got to, you know, and I miss it. So I thought, I'm not waiting to then ask everybody. I want to see what people are doing now. So let me get on it. Put out a few feeders. You know, I'll start with the old school, those who have looked after me throughout my career, which is, you've been one of those, you know, always had time for me. So I thought in my own mix zone, I'll make time for who I want to, because in the ones that work my mix zone, others made time for me. So yeah, man, I'm just doing the same thing I always do, bruv. I'm still in a job. I'm working. I'm writing probably more now than I did when I was in the office. I do lifestyle and entertainment as well. So it's not just sport. So I'm blessed, my brother. You know, I'm around my kids. I can't complain, man. Do you know what I mean? This
is it.
People are out here struggling, really struggling. I'm grateful. I'm not one of those, you know. And I touch wood, long may that continue, because I know that as bad a situation as it is for everyone at the moment, and as uncomfortable and uncertain as it is, it could be a lot worse. Yeah. So, you know, I'm grateful for where I'm at. I'm always I'm a grateful person, bro. You know, I mean,
that's it.
You know me. I move with a smile. Love what I do. Just keep it going, man. Simple as that.
That's it.
I can't wait for Japan either. Like, I was sitting with some well-to-do folk not too long ago, and they were adamant it was going to happen. The games were still going to go ahead, and I just couldn't see it. So when it got cancelled, I had a conversation with them, and they were like, "You were right, you know, next year it is." But it's unprecedented, because not only does it mess up the other sporting events around it, as Martin Francis pointed out, it's always in a leap year, isn't it? Olympics. So that's going to be different. It's going to be the first big sporting event post Corona, hopefully. Hopefully, yeah. And the precursor to how maybe the World Cup will be in Qatar. European Championships, football as well, to consider. There's a lot of things juggling then. It's mad. So, I mean, you know me, I do it all sport-wise. So I'm just looking at it all like, yo, there's a frantic period to come, and I guess one thing is I'm going to be fit and healthy, because I'm doing probably more training and eating healthier than I do normally. There's two camps. There's a camp that's going to get fat, and there's a camp that's going to come out of abs. Yeah. You sound like you're on the right side. I'm looking for abs. So yeah, I'm downloading all the PT circuits that are being put out there for free. I'll keep them. I'll have a backlog to work my way through. And no excuses. Man, I'm happy. I'm blessed, bro. So long may it continue.
Sounds good. I think it forces us to be creative in this time. I think when you are like you said, you're a creative person, so it's easy. You can get on with it. You're like, right, I'm going to do some interviews. I'm going to get real interviews going. And I think for the people who are really bored, it's just like because they've got no creativity in them.
got no ingenuity.
Yeah. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, my garden's become. I've become a gardener.
I'm like at least you got one. Do you know what I mean? That's
Yeah, that's it.
the blessing.
Well, I
At
live in the
least you got one.
Midlands. Don't worry, we've got space up here.
You're good. You're good.
It's a lot
Well, listen,
cheaper
my
than
brother.
London.
Thanks for being the second athlete to come through Treddy's virtual mix zone. I'm gonna have you
Pleasure,
back through it again before the lockdown's completed. I don't think it'll be another 3 weeks. I think there'll be an extended period after that.
Yeah, we're in for a while.
What it will look like, I don't know, but yeah, we'll get you back in and talk about whatever the order of the day is then. But yeah, thanks for now, man. I appreciate it.
Privilege. Thank you very much for your time.